All right, we are live.
Hi everyone, welcome to Camp McDowell virtually. We are here today with one of our 3 eastern box turtles. This is box turtle number 2, very exciting. We have 3 box turtles here at Camp McDowell, and the reason that we're able to have 3 box turtles is that we have a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service permit. Y'all might have heard a little bit about that with our birds, with our great horned owl and our black vulture, that we only have them because we have those permits. In the state of Alabama, you are only legally allowed to have 1 box turtle maximum without one of these permits. So we have a permit to have all 3 of our turtles. This is one of those turtles. He's wonderful. I'm going to let him walk around a little bit, and maybe later on in the stream we will get to see him eat his breakfast, which will be very exciting. He's a good eater. So the reason we have this box turtle, let's look at his face a little bit. You might notice that he's kind of just got one big nostril, which is not normally what turtles look like. He was kept as a pet for a long time, and he did not get the lighting that he needs. Turtles and lizards need UVB lighting. So that's a certain kind of light that is similar to sunlight. It's like within the spectrum of sunlight, and they need that for bone growth and development. If they don't have it, all kinds of things can happen. So what happened to this turtle was he had a big abscess on his nose, and a vet removed it, which is why his nose looks kind of funky, and then he was given to us. Our other turtles came from other environmental centers or from vets. One was attacked by a dog and had some pretty major shell damage. Another one is missing a leg, probably because of a predator attacking her. But we have all of these turtles because for whatever reason they would not be able to survive in the wild. This one probably because of some various bone growth issues that might not be super visible to us. But since he didn't have that lighting that he needed, that means that he is not able to be released again. So, we will be taking questions about the turtle. The turtle himself will be taking questions, of course. And in the meantime, we can watch him walk around.
So if you have any questions about the turtle, go ahead and toss those up in the comments and we'll get to them. There's usually a slight lag between the video and when the comments show up for us. So the sooner you get them in there, the better. And we're just going to kind of hang out with this scaly friend for the second.
As he runs off the table. Where are you going?
Ooh, Jan wants to know, why does this turtle have red eyes?
Why does this turtle have red eyes? So, you can tell the difference between a male and a female eastern box turtle based on the eye color. In female eastern box turtles, the eyes are kind of a reddish brown, like a darker maroon color. In males, you get that bright red color. And that is an adaptation that basically makes them more attractive to the ladies. So, our turtle, very pretty, very beautiful, bright red eyes, kind of freaks students out, but it's part of his job.
Caitlin wants to know, is he terrestrial or aquatic?
That is a great question, Caitlin. So, he is a terrestrial turtle. They're not as completely terrestrial as tortoises. He enjoys a nice dip in his water bowl all the time. But you can tell the difference. Most turtles, if they're terrestrial, will have this kind of higher domed shell. It's more circular shape. Most aquatic turtles are usually more flattened, kind of pancake looking, though that's not universally true. We get some species like musk and mud turtles that are more rounded and still spend most of their time in the water. They're just not very good swimmers. But he also does not have the webbed feet that he would need to be a good swimmer. So he spends most of his time on land. And that's also a good point to bring up. If you find a box turtle and you're concerned about where it is in the wild, you do not want to throw them in the water because they do not swim. And there are plenty of silly videos on Facebook of people throwing tortoises or box turtles in the water, but that is not a good idea.
Yeah. Mary Jo would like to know, why is he called a box turtle?
Why is he called a box turtle? Well, he is probably not going to demonstrate that for us because he, like all of our animals here at Camp McDowell, he is a fully trained teacher. He has a master's degree and so on from an accredited turtle university. He is not particularly scared of us. But if he thought that I was a raccoon or an eagle or something else that can eat a turtle, which there are not many animals strong enough to pull apart their shells, he has hinges on the underside of his shell right here and right here. And he can close these flaps up really, really tight, and so tightly that he has to hold his breath while he does that. So he can completely shut his body like a cardboard box or like a garage door. That's kind of like what it looks like when this one goes up. He's not going to show us, though, because we don't want to stress him out by making him do that.
Kim wants to know, where did we get this box turtle?
Where did we get this box turtle? This box turtle came to us from a vet in Hoover, Alabama, I believe. But before that, he was a pet. And like I said, he did not have the kind of lighting that he needed. Turtles are pretty demanding pets. They need a really varied diet. They need different kinds of lighting. They need a lot of space. And so it's pretty easy to have a turtle and not give it everything it needs. And that's how they end up with us, eventually.
Katie wants to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how cute do you think he is?
14.
Great.
I really like turtles.
Jan would like to know if he can bite.
Anything with a mouth can bite, Jan. Don't stick your fingers in turtles' mouths.
I think you're a 14 too. All right, if you have any more questions, go ahead and toss those up in the comments. Ooh, Chris would like to know, how do you know what is attractive to the lady turtles?
We can generally, a lot of it is speculation. A lot of it is scientific research. I myself haven't gone out of my way to look up studies about this. But this is the kind of thing that turtle researchers, herpetologists, which are people who study reptiles and amphibians, this is the kind of thing they do studies about and see, like, how many eggs would a turtle have if it had really bright red eyes. Those are things you can measure even. There are ways to measure the brightness of color, the intensity of it. And then you can measure, like, even if that's something like DNA testing. It would be a very intensive study that I'm making up in my head right now. But you can measure how reproductively successful they are, how many babies they're able to have, or you can just look at how much success they have with mating, that kind of thing. But that's our best guess, because bright red eyes like that are not really helping him camouflage. They're probably not helping him see any better. So generally, when there's something really flashy like that, and we don't have another explanation for it, we think it's probably to attract the ladies. Or the gentlemen, depends on the species.
Jan would like to know, what does he eat?
That is a great segue,
question.
Jan. Thank you. So we have a variety of yummy foods for him today. Let's start and see if he would like a little piece of bell pepper. First, he's going to crack the camera. Would you like some bell pepper, mister? No? He's a pepper. The crunch. Perhaps he does not want some bell pepper right now. Here. Look. Want to eat it? So we have a bunch of different foods here to try with him. Let's see. I think a raspberry will be a hit. Look, raspberry. Like I said, box turtles in particular need a really varied diet. Turtles in the wild are honestly kind of garbage disposals. They will eat a lot of different things, depending on the species. And so our box turtles get a variety of vegetables and fruits. They also get pinky mice, which are like itty-bitty mice. And later today, or later in this live stream, we will be giving him a worm, which earthworms are one of his favorite foods. But they are omnivores. They will eat pretty much anything they can get their little claws on.
Sandra would like to know, how old is this turtle?
How old is this turtle? This turtle is probably around 10 to 15 years old. So in turtle years, that's actually pretty young. One of the reasons that they don't make great pets is that these turtles, I want y'all watching to take like 3 seconds and think in your head your best guess as to how old you think this turtle can live. These turtles can live to be 100 years old, or even longer. So if you decide to get a box turtle as a pet, you had better have that written into your will when your retirement home does not allow turtles. Who's going to take care of that turtle and keep cleaning their poop for 100 years? You can also tell on some species, and I don't know, his belly's a little rubbed down, so we can't really see it, but they have something called annuli, which annuli sounds kind of like annual. Those are yearly rings that grow in their shell, kind of like a tree. If you've ever looked at a tree stump to tell how old a tree is, you can kind of do the same thing for turtles. You can see a little bit these rings, these lines in his shell. Oh, he's doing the box thing. He didn't like it when I touched his chest. There it goes. But you can see the rings on his back too. If you can count those, which sometimes you can't, when they get old enough they kind of blur together and it's hard to tell. But if you can count those rings, sometimes you can tell how old a turtle is.
Awesome.
Let's see if he wants his raspberry.
Laura would like to know, and you kind of touched on it already, are turtles good pets?
That depends, Laura. So turtles need a lot of space. They need special heat and lighting. In certain cases, they might need a lot of water. And they also poop a lot. They're pretty dirty animals, especially if you're keeping them in water. You have to have a really intense filter. And in the wild, in the habitats that we see them in, they're covering a good deal of more ground than you would expect. They have pretty decent areas that they walk around. And so it's pretty hard for us to really replicate the conditions that turtles live in the wild. It's a little easier with box turtles than some aquatic turtles, but in my experience, turtles generally don't have the same quality of life as pets that they would have in the wild. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes animals do better as pets because they are not worried about being pulled apart by raccoons and things like that. Do you not want your raspberry? Look. True raspberry. Please don't eat my fingers. You want your raspberry? So, turtles can be good pets for the right person who's committed to an animal that lives 100 years and has the space and money to take care of that animal. But they also live 100 years and have a lot of specialized needs and need a lot of space. And they're not exactly cuddly animals. They don't really have the same kind of emotional attachment to you that you do to them. And some people are really bothered by that. Some people are okay with an animal that just has a different kind of brain and different feelings in them. He does not want his raspberry.
You kind of touched on this as well, but Chris would like to know, what animals are box turtle predators?
So box turtles, when they are babies, turtles are a kind of animal that will have just a ton of babies. They lay a ton of eggs in one nest, and most of those eggs will never even hatch. Most of them will be eaten up by raccoons. Here, maybe armadillos. I'm not sure if armadillos eat turtle eggs, but a lot of things will eat turtle eggs if they can find them. When they first hatch, their shell, just like babies, if y'all know how babies' skulls haven't formed yet and they have the soft spots in their skull, just like that, turtle shells start out more cartilaginous, so they're mostly cartilage. They have to harden over the first few years of their life, and that means that baby turtles are really vulnerable, and certain animal, like a largemouth bass, if it's an aquatic species of turtle, they can literally just swallow that baby turtle whole, shell and all, just because their mouths are big enough. But once they get about this age, this size, and their shells are fully calcified, they're hard, they can close up in them, there are only a few animals that can really get in there and get to the actual turtle meat. So raccoons are surprisingly strong and can really just rip open a turtle, which is not a fun mental image. Eagles have those big, strong beaks, and turtle shells are often found in eagle nests. They're a favorite food of eagles. Some other animals, I would expect that larger carnivores like a coyote or a bear might be able to get into a turtle, but I don't know that it would be worth the work compared to their normal prey. And maybe some other ospreys or a raptor species that's associated with water usually and would probably enjoy a turtle.
Going the other direction down the food chain, Sonia would like to know, how does he hunt or find things besides plants to eat in the wild?
That is a good question. We are going to see if he wants to eat his worm. He seems to be a little more intent on escaping from us right now. He's on the run and a little less intent on eating, but he loves worms. So this is one of his weekly night crawlers. Maybe he'll chomp it for us.
Maybe on the ground.
We'll see what he thinks. Nope, he's not noticing it. Come on, bud.
So would you say that he's a pretty vicious predator?
He is a vicious predator. He's got this beak here. Turtles don't have teeth. They have some really cool adaptations to their lifestyle that involve not having a beak or not having teeth. Instead, they have this beak that they can kind of tear things apart with. They've got these claws that they can tear things apart with. They're really good diggers, and they're surprisingly faster than you might expect. So if y'all haven't noticed this turtle trying to run away from us, he's pretty speedy. Look. Do you want a worm? Look at the worm. He says, oh, that's a worm. Yummy, yummy. So yes, turtles can dig for things like worms and insects. They're pretty opportunistic. They'll eat pretty much anything they can come across. I've watched aquatic turtles chase fish around, which is really funny because they're not as fast as fish, but they are really, really stubborn and will not give up. There's the munch. Here he goes. Now he's just gonna enjoy his victory. Yes. He loves the worm. Yes. You love getting to eat worms and bugs because that protein is really important for any animal, including you. You should be getting your protein at home. But you don't have to eat worms to get it. You can eat, like, soybeans if you'd like. Oh, good munching.
He's pretty active right now, but Sandra would like to know if turtles hibernate in the winter.
Do turtles hibernate in the winter? So that is a really good question and a kind of specific turtle language thing that I'm going to ramble a bit about. So hibernation is something that we usually see farther north where it gets really, really cold. And in animals like mammals that have this kind of dramatic shift in their lifestyle. So in the winter, they slow their breathing, they slow their heart rate, they get really, really cold. They're just doing like the bare minimum of what they need to stay alive. And that means that they are not going to wake up for the whole winter. They're going to be completely out cold. Things like bats, if bats wake up during hibernation, they probably don't have enough energy to make it through the rest of the winter. They need to eat bugs. The blue jays are helping us. They need to be able to eat some bugs and get energy right away when they wake up. So that's why you want to try to avoid bothering hibernating animals in the winter. Reptiles, on the other hand, most reptiles do something called brumation. And when they're brumating, that's more of like a slow curve into their wintertime mode. So with mammals, it's like a sharp drop-off from scurrying around really fast to completely asleep. With reptiles, it's more of like, if it's a sunny day in January here in Alabama, you might see turtles out basking on a log, just trying to get some heat in while they can. They are able to sort of come in and out of that sleep mode a little more easily than some other animals are. Let's see if he wants a blackberry. Would you take a blackberry? Mayhaps? We're going to get berry juice all over this table. So yes, most reptiles brumate, and it also depends on where they live. Like down south in Florida, animals are generally kind of doing their own thing, doing reptile things all year round. Here in Alabama, we don't really see turtles or snakes for quite a while because it gets cold enough that they are either underground or under leaf litter, just anywhere that they can stay safe and warm.
So, Claire would like to know, just kind of briefly again, if you can tell the age of this box turtle.
So, I said this earlier, but we can tell the age a little bit by these rings on their shell. These kind of plates on sections of their shells, those are actually modified scales called scutes, S-C-U-T-E-S. And these scutes have annuli, or rings, and you can count those just like a tree stump to tell how old a turtle is. But it doesn't really work once they get past a certain age because they don't really get as big as trees. Those rings start to kind of blend together. So I could try to count these, but
Jan would like to know if you think that he would eat a dead earthworm, or would he scavenge animals and that kind of thing.
turtles, they generally won't go for like a whole corpse the way a vulture would, a whole carcass, but they are, like I said, very opportunistic, and aquatic turtle species for sure have been known to eat dead fish, dead bugs, anything that kind of falls into the water. And I would expect the same from a box turtle too. Let's see, maybe he wants a yellow bell pepper. Yellow pepper?
And Caitlin would like to know, she says she might have missed it, but can you go over again what other turtles the Environmental Center has here at Camp McDowell?
A great question, Caitlin. So like I said, aquatic turtles are pretty hard to maintain. They need a lot of space, a really strong filter, a lot of water. So we have 3 eastern box turtles, the same species as this guy. We have a younger male and then a female box turtle who's missing a leg. But here in Alabama, we have a whole bunch of species of turtle because we're in a subtropical environment. It's a great place for turtles to live. If you live down south, closer to the coast, you might even be lucky enough to see something called a gopher tortoise. And those are a really, really special species. There's something called a keystone species, and that means that they do a really important job for their ecosystem. They dig these huge burrows, and a lot of other animals require those burrows to hibernate or brumate in during the winter and use them for other reasons. So they are really important for things like indigo snakes, which are endangered here in Alabama. And I know more about reptiles than non-reptile animals, so I know they're important to other species too that aren't indigo snakes. But we have gopher tortoises, we have cooters and sliders. I think we have chicken turtles and terrapins down south closer to the coast. We have painted turtles, and sadly we don't have painted turtles here, which really hurts my heart, but here, I can't. And we have map turtles. We have some really cool species of map turtles and cooters that are endemic, which means they only live in this state. So here at Camp McDowell, we get lucky enough to see things like Alabama map turtles, which only live here in Alabama, and they are really cool species. Eat your pepper. Eat it. Munch it.
All right. We have a lot of new people with us, and I think it is just about pinky time. So, folks, if you have any more questions, go ahead and toss those out, or we might...
We only have a worm. He got his protein already.
We have another worm, maybe, and...
Nope, he already ate his worm, Josh.
Wow, he's just so good at eating. All right. If y'all really want to watch him eat a Pinky Mouse, put it in the comments, and we can video that and put that up later, maybe next week.
What about a strawberry? Nope, he wants to come see
No.
me.
I think it is maybe time. Caitlin has an observation that he does seem a little bit calmer after eating. I don't know. He seems...
That's a good observation, Caitlin.
Yeah.
He feels good after he gets that protein in his system.
Mm-hmm.
Just like me. Eat your strawberry. You love strawberry. So turtles like this, they love their protein, their bugs and their worms. They also really like sugary foods, just like us. So the strawberries and raspberries and stuff are kind of like turtle candy. So he loves his nice sugary berries, but right now I think there's a lot going on outside. There's a lot of bird sounds, maybe fun smells for him. He's a little overwhelmed. He's probably also wondering what in the world this table is.
All right. If you have any more questions, toss them in the comments in the next 5 seconds while this turtle just continues looking beautiful. And if not, we're going to wrap it up and get him home. All right, thank you very much. If you have any more comments or questions, put them in the comment section. Thank you so much, Al. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in.
Thank you, everybody.
To deal with this dynamic duo. They're so much fun. Al, do you have anything more about turtles, or what
Are you sure
what
you
should
want to
people
ask
know
that
about
question?
turtles as a wrap up?
There are some really good things that we didn't cover that you should know about turtles. So, not everyone knows this. Turtle shells, they can't come out of their shells like a hermit crab. These shells are made up of their spine and their ribs, and so this is literally part of their skeleton. So, if a turtle comes out of its shell, it is definitely a dead turtle. Also, if you ever see a turtle crossing the road and you are safe enough to do so, remember your safety always comes first before animals, and that is important. If you are able to do so, it is a great idea to pick up a turtle and try and help them across the road. Always move them in the direction that they're going, because if this turtle's going this way and I put him back on this side of the road, he's going to turn around and go back that way or crawl off the table. Either way. So, it's always a great idea to help turtles out. They are not super speedy, and these shells really help protect them from predators. They do not work against cars, unfortunately. You also, like I said, you don't want to throw a turtle back in the water, even if it looks like an aquatic turtle, because if a turtle's crossing the road, it's probably a mama turtle trying to find somewhere to nest, and every time you put her back in a pond, she's just going to have to start over. And they get pretty frustrated, to say the least.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.